What is going on, everybody? My name is Parla. I'm also known as Mantrousse, and since 2015, I've been a full-time content creator and presenter. And if you've ever thought you'd like to try either of those things, I'd love for you to take a sit down right now so I can have a moment of your time and we can have a little chat. My story begins when I was a young child. I always liked to do arty things, right? Whether it was acting, drawing, messing around with my friends, or just watching films. And by the time I got to around 16, 17 years old, content creation online started to become a big thing as well. And it caught me and my friends' eyes. We always made a lot of jokes about how we should try to make videos or do silly stuff and record it and put it on the internet, but we never did. These trophies are from when we used to do taekwondo. And finally, I wasn't able to do the hobbies, the sports and martial arts that I'd been doing. I had like a really, really bad injury to my back. And so I was in a lot of pain. I could only do rehab. And I was just really down and out. And it was that moment of inspiration where I could try making videos again. I found something that I could do and be passionate. What is going on, everybody? I just recorded this vlog and it came out really, really bad. Obviously, when I first started making videos, it was a scary thought. I was very excited about doing it. But at the same time, you're thinking, is it going to be good? Am I going to look silly? And what are the people closest to me going to think? And also, what are the people going to think from around the world that might see it? Am I just going to look stupid? Well, guess what, Waleed? Your dreams have come true, mate. And you have to just know that you're doing it because you love it and you want to make these other people happy. And part of that is understanding that sometimes they're not going to be, and you can't be scared or worried about that. I can play it in a sandpit, in a park. This is one of the ways I might set up my camera if I'm doing like a standing maybe vlog or comedy thing in my room. I have this really cheap old tripod. The camera's attached to it. I've watched and know of creators who have equipment that's not necessarily super high tier, or at one point in their creation careers they didn't have the stuff they do now and they were still making fantastic pieces of content. And so sure, if you need a camera for what you're doing, you need to have a camera, but it doesn't have to be what's looking at me right now. It can just be maybe your phone or something inexpensive that's easy to get hold of. You want to be able to tell a story, but the specific tools aren't necessarily the most important. As long as you've got something and you can tell that story as best you can, equipment is only a small part of that. You know, if you're just filming something random with your cell phone, your mobile phone, then that can be just as good as something shot on a cinema grade camera. I might sometimes put it on a table or prop it up and get the right angle, but usually I'm gonna let it free completely and stand it to its full height, because I kind of like an angle that is slightly looking down upon me, just a bit. I think it makes the image a bit more interesting as opposed to being completely level with my face. Having good audio should be a priority, and that doesn't necessarily mean having a very expensive microphone or putting in a bunch of effort to create perfect sound, but it should be you looking out for the simple things, you know, making sure there isn't too much noise around you. Doesn't matter if your picture is great, you've got a guy drilling behind you, it's windy, and you're being silly on camera, the audio is going to be terrible. No one's going to have a clue what's going on. And then it can also help to learn a small bit of audio editing. I only know a bit myself, but I know that it makes a huge difference when it comes to how the sound actually comes out. And there are a variety of free programs online that can help you do that. I think having good music and sound effects are also very important too. They can both completely change the way a video plays out and add a lot of value to the content. You know, if you're in there, you know, dodging around, whatever, it might change the impact on the viewer, right? If you have some cool sound effects. And also, music can really add atmosphere. Is this battery in? Yeah, maybe this battery's not charged. I'm not sure. Should it be charged? And you know what, everybody? I'm feeling quite generous. I'm going to let you all into the biggest secret when it comes to creating content online. Do you want to make things that can change lives, change the world? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's only one thing that you need. Jump carts! Jump cart. Hey, jump cart. Of course, right? Love them. There's a common phrase when it comes to creating, it's content is king. The phrase kind of illustrates a good lesson, which is, yeah, it's about what you're doing, what you're putting into it, and if what's coming out to the people watching is good. No. Oh, fuck! No. Something else you should all remember as well when it comes to editing your footage is that you should trim the fat. You don't want any excess content that is wasted. Make sure that everything the audience is going to watch is fun, engaging, exciting, interesting, or whatever. For instance, I like to use cuts and pacing to make sure that everything is of interest to the audience. Like this bit here, I make my little dancing gag, we go into widescreen, and then I burst into laughter, and I cut it there. I'm not gonna like leave it out where I'm just standing and have that extra time for no reason. Of course, the styles will change between people, but essentially you don't want just wasted space on your final product. Keeping what I've just said in mind with regards to having an approach to what you do, whether it's one type or another. If you want to do this, pick a certain amount that you'd like to do per time period, whether it's one video a week, 2, 3, whatever, and do it. Don't stray away from that, and through that, you can improve, you can gauge your level of interest in a specific thing, and over time, that can only make you better and better at what you're trying to do.
We've gotta keep this dream alive. We've gotta keep this dream alive.
One of the most essential things to do or know is that you're comfortable with yourself and you have to trust yourself and keep pushing through whatever it is. Because if you don't, you might miss out on opportunities in life and you might give up too soon. And so when someone says to you to believe in yourself, sure, sometimes it's a bit silly and it doesn't really mean anything. But if you think about it within context and you apply that concept to something, it's very, very powerful. You know, if you want something, a big part of it is believing in yourself, properly understanding yourself, pushing through and fighting, because otherwise you might miss out on some pretty cool opportunities. Try to find that inspiration yourself. If there is something you want to do, don't wait for that injury or whatever to happen. Don't wait for tomorrow or the next week. If there is something you want, go for it. Find out the steps to get there and start going through them. Don't wait for something to fall in your lap. Believe in yourself, work hard, and once you've found that thing that you want to do and that makes you happy, just go for it. See you all in the next video. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Until next time.